The Tao of Self-Confidence, episode 248. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. Visit our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits. Well, hello friend. Welcome to the Tao of Self-Confidence, where I share stories of amazing women who have discovered their inner journey to self-confidence. I'm your host today, Sheena Yap Chan, and today I have a phenomenal lady on the show today. She is a singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. I was trying to make sure that I said that right and in the most correct way, so thank God that went well. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Alfa Garcia. Alfa, how are you today? Maybe you can fill in a little bit more about yourself to our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm doing well today. It is awesome to be on your show. Let's see. I'm a singer-songwriter. I play a few different instruments, mostly guitar, also piano, violin, ukulele. And I've been songwriting for about 17 years. Just do a whole lot of music. I've been touring and recording for a long time, and that's pretty much what I do.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. And what's your cultural background?
I was born in the Philippines. Specifically, I was born in an island called Mindanao, which is the southernmost island, I think. Or maybe it's not the southernmost island, but it's like the largest in the south.
Awesome. I'm also from the Philippines. I was born in Cebu. So, yay, we got something.
Oh, yeah. We probably speak the same language.
Yeah, I'm sure we do. I speak Bisaya.
Yes, same here.
Sweet. We learn something new every single day. And Alfa, what would be your favorite self-confidence quote?
Oh, yes. So one of my favorite quotes growing up was, "To be all that you can be, you must dream of being more." And I looked that up recently because I was trying to figure out who said that. And I think they still have no idea who actually said that quote. But it was probably my driving quote when I was growing up. Because, having been born in a small island in the tropics and having moved to a small town and everything, I just had to constantly remind myself to dream big and to think big. And I thought that quote was really helpful for me.
I love that quote. I mean, a lot of us, there's so many people out there that's just playing small because, they're because of their programs, maybe from the past and what society tells them, not realizing that, we're so limitless. We have so much power. We can go out there and be who we want to be when we truly believe in ourselves. So, I really love that quote. Thanks for sharing that. And in your own words, how would you define self-confidence?
Let's see. I think that, self-confidence is really, it's not about like faking it till you make it. I think it's really about looking inward and knowing who you are and accepting yourself for who you are, and then having the courage to present to the world who you are. I really think so much of our self-confidence is driven by looking inwards and trusting ourselves.
Awesome. And I always believe too, when it comes to working on yourself, we got to start from inside out. The outside is great, but that can only last for so long. But when you learn to dig deep and get to the core, that's when you can start realizing why we are the way we are, or why you have this certain experience in your lifetime, because we have to go back and think, what happened that caused this and how can we learn from it? So, love it.
Absolutely.
I love the definition that you mentioned. And Alfa, what was your life like before your discovery of self-confidence?
It's so interesting because I feel like it's hard to say what point I really sort of got self-confidence or whatever it was. But I will say that, I wrestled a lot with a language barrier when I moved to the States because I was never put in an ESL class. I never learned English formally. I sort of had to pick up on everything around me. And for a long time, I think I was convinced that I was just a bad kid. I was still pretty young when I moved here, but I was just convinced I was a bad kid because I was constantly being misunderstood and constantly misunderstood what was going on around me. And I think that really fed into this feeling of inferiority and just not knowing who I was, that I guess so defined the first few years when I was here in the States. But it's changed a lot since then.
Thanks for sharing that. And, it's great that you came to America. I came to Canada, but
Yes, you did.
When you moved to America, you had no clue to speak English. You just went out there and just did it. And it's amazing just because we have a language barrier, we have this thinking like we're a bad kid because we don't know a certain language, which when really it's just a miscommunication, right? Mm-hmm. And what was that point in your life when you realized, you weren't a bad kid, you are amazing, you can go out there and do, amazing things. And like, what was that aha moment in your life when you realized that?
It was actually, again, it was kind of this gradual series of aha moments, but I would say probably one of the biggest changing factors in my life was when my family moved to New Jersey from New York. So we had emigrated to New York City, and that's when I first, got into the school system and thought I was a bad kid and was really lost. My mom moved our family to New Jersey because she just thought it would be a better place to raise a family. And, it turned out to be for the best, because for me, it was kind of the blank slate that I needed. And I remember distinctly going to school the first time. I think it was like third grade or fourth grade. I remember going to school and thinking, okay, like this is my chance to prove that I'm not a bad kid. And, I went out for all the sports. I went out for all the music clubs. And, even through high school, I always did my best in everything I did. And it just came from this desire to prove myself and to prove that I wasn't a bad kid. And then after a while, when that wasn't even the issue anymore, it just became sort of like a life mantra to just always do my best no matter what I was doing.
Awesome. And that's great, right? I mean, just doing your best. That's all we could do. And
exactly.
When you give your best, I mean, that's it. You feel accomplished. You were able to go out there and do it versus regretting not doing it, right? There's so many people out there regret so many things that they don't do because they're either too scared of failing or having people laugh at them. We all start from the bottom. We all start with no skill whatsoever. And the more we keep on doing it, that's when we can start progressing and build that confidence. And, because of you moving from New York to New Jersey, having that blank slate, what's your life been like now?
Well, a lot's happened since those days in Jersey. I went to college. I worked as a reporter for a few years. But that whole time, actually, when I was in college, I was in New York City. And that's when I started to really have a love for songwriting and performing. And I played out a lot. I just kind of was addicted to the stage. By the time I graduated college, I pretty much made the decision that was what I wanted to pursue. I wanted to be a singer-songwriter. I wanted to be a musician. And I made the move to Los Angeles, where I live now, about 5 years ago. And it's been really amazing. It's just been, I feel like my world has opened up and just expanded. And I've seen so many sides of life. And I've learned so much about myself and so much about what I can do. And I've learned a lot about the music industry, too. I think that's a given. But I just feel like ever since that turning point, my life has just been expanding exponentially. And I've been learning a lot,
Awesome. And I'm glad you're able to, do the thing that you love the most, singing and songwriting. And, to the woman who's listening to your episode, she may be in her own journey of self-confidence or a similar situation as yours. What would be that one tip you would give to her?
Well, I would say, kind of like what I mentioned before, definitely start with looking at yourself, look at who you are as a person, look at what makes you you, and uphold that, sort of be honest and be true to that, and don't try to change that. I think we as women, there's so many times when we look at ourselves and we're critical, or we write ourselves off, or we self-erase. I do that all the time. And I think that's something that we have to be careful not to do. We have to affirm ourselves and look at ourselves with a positive eye before we can really say that we're self-confident.
I totally agree. I mean, I've been guilty of, punishing myself, being my own worst critic. And, we're all guilty of that. And when we can just be aware of it and switch it around, I mean, it makes a huge difference. So great tip that you mentioned. And if our listeners want to connect with you or get to know a little bit more about you, is there any links or social media profiles you can share with us?
Yes, absolutely. Well, you can follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/Alfa Music, ALFA Music. I'm also on Instagram, Alpha_music. Let's see what else. Oh, if you watch YouTube, you can subscribe to me at youtube.com/Alfa Music.
Thanks for sharing that, Alpha. And to our listeners, you can also head on over to thetaoofselfconfidence.com and search for Alpha's name. Her show notes will pop up along with everything else we talked about. And I really just want to thank Alpha for taking the time to share her story and journey with us. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It was an honor having you on the show. And to our listeners, be on the lookout for another new episode of another amazing woman's journey to self-confidence. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another amazing episode of The Tao of Self-Confidence. Get your free audiobook by visiting our website at thetaoofselfconfidence.com. Your inner journey to self-confidence awaits.